What is going on, and welcome to the second episode of the Central District Hoops Report. I'm your host, Justin Griffiths, and in this episode, we are breaking down weeks 1 and 2 of the Central District, as it was a very busy couple of weeks here. I was out ill at the beginning of the week last week. I am back and healthy, ready to go, ready to break down weeks 1 and 2 of the Central District as we recap all 9 teams and their schedules. Once again, during the non-district portion, it is all teams play at a different time, so getting a set schedule for you guys up is going to be more of a challenge. Once we hit December and January, where we have more of a set times that these guys play, I'll be able to get a more concrete schedule out for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the first team and their slate of games for weeks 1 and 2, the John A. Logan Volunteers. And the Volunteers opened up against Mineral Area College, where they handled the Cardinals handily at Three Rivers, 70-47. As you can see, we'll check out their team stats here. Logan shot the ball extremely well. They were 20 of 46 from the field and 43.5% compared to Mineral Area, dismal 26.2% for them, 17 for 65 overall. And really the big key here, as we look at this, again, just from the coaching viewpoint, the Cardinals shot 26.2% from the field, 0 of 13 from behind the arc, while John A. was able to net 6 3-pointers. Yeah, they took 18 shots to get there, but 33.3% clip is always going to help you win ball games. And it did. Again, Mineral Area coming into the season ranked number 1 in the preseason polling. As the time of recording, no polling has changed. So right now, Mineral Area still considered number 21, even though they fell to the Volunteers of Logan. In the rebounding battle, Mineral Area did win this 39-38. Turnovers, they won that battle as well, 15-6, or they lost that. Yeah, they won that battle, having one less turnover, 15-16. Really, it was just this poor shooting performance. You know, you can't win a lot of ball games shooting 26.2% and not being able to hit a single three. Free throw wise, 13 of 29, so you leave 16 points on the board there. And really, when you lose 70-47, now in the first half, you were close. 9-point halftime deficit for Mineral Area, and Logan was just able to expand that a lot better, scoring in the second half and compared to Mineral Area's 23. Let's go ahead and check out some of the box scores for this. It was really Joseph Scott for the Cardinals, 2 for 5 from the field, 6 of 11 from the free throw line. Again, nobody hit threes, so that's going to be the big thing for the Cardinals. Scott finished with 10 points, and Diari Duncan finished with 7. Jordan Logan finished with 9. So those are your 3 big ones for Mineral Area. Your bench kind of came into play a little bit as Edwin Dooling came in, shot 3 of 9 from the field. And really, as we look at this as well, personal fouls, Joseph Scott and Diari Duncan foul out of this ball game. And you had Dooling get into foul trouble as well with 4 fouls. As a team that committed 25 fouls, and again, you win the turnover battle, but you lose. You can't hit a 3-pointer to save your life, and you shoot poorly from the field. Not going to win you a whole lot of games, especially when you commit 25 fouls in the process. For Logan, they were led off the bench by Taylor Smith. Again, he looked good in the jamborees, and he came out firing. He was 5 of 6 from the stripe, 6 of 8 from the field, and he even hit a 3-pointer as well. He finished with 18 points here. Another big player was Jaden Miles. He was 2 of 3 and 4 of 4 from the foul line. He finished with 9 points. Starting-wise for the Vols, it was Julian Norris Jr., who was 3 of 4 from the field and 5 of 9 from the stripe. He also grabbed 4 rebounds, had 2 assists and 2 steals. And really nobody else was in foul trouble, although I don't think Logan really put their fouls in for this ball game. And if you are listening to us on Spotify, unfortunately, you're not able to see it. Do have the box scores pulled up here, and this is how we're going to be doing it from now on. So check us out on YouTube as we go forward. But if you can and you have to listen on Spotify, we are just looking at box scores here off of the NJCAA website. Back to the scoring breakdown. Caden Hawkins was also okay. He was 3 of 9 from the field and grabbed 5 rebounds and had 4 assists for 7 points. And again, Logan really was just able to handle business on the first night of the season and at Three Rivers. So again, big kudos to Coach Smith Peters for them taking on a ranked opponent for the first game of the season and being able to handle their business as we get ready to look at their second game. And again, as you watching this, you're just seeing me click back and finding the games here. And the next game that they played was on November 2nd against Three Rivers, where they lost this one 60-57 against the Raiders. And again, this one was really, really close. We look at the team stats here. Three Rivers, again, the shooting percentages early on is what's going to be key. And for Three Rivers, you shoot 42.6% from the field, 20 of 47, hitting 3 threes along the way. Again, not great shooting 3-point wise, but you're able to out rebound the Vols 37-33, and really that's it. I mean, you lose the turnover battle 16-10, the assist battle 8-10. In the rebounding battle, you only out rebound them by 4. That's why this game was so close. You had a 9-point lead going into halftime, just like Logan had against Mineral Area, and the Vols were able to cut it down to a 3-point ball game at the end, just not able to pull it out were the Volunteers. They shot 18 of 58 from the field, which is good for 31%, 3 of 17 from behind the arc. Again, really dismal all the way around for this game. 17.6 for the Vols. They also left 12 points on the floor by missing their free throws. Both teams shot below 70% from the foul stripe. And again, just able to pull out the victory on your home floor for Three Rivers. Looking at individual scoring here, again, Taylor Smith, he had 13 points leading the way for the Volunteers off the bench. He was 5 of 15 from the field, however, and that is something that going forward he needs to be a lot more efficient of. He was 2 of 6 from behind the arc and did grab 4 rebounds. But again, being able to take 15 shots and only getting 13 points is not really great when you're looking at everything. You had also Jaden Miles once again in double digits with 11 points, 5 of 7 from the free throw line and grabbing 6 rebounds. Starter-wise, it was Devarius Lowry with 12 points, 3 of 4 shooting from the foul line, 4 of 8 from the field. So there's where you really want to be as right around that 4 for 8 or higher. You want to be 50% or higher if you're a guard. If you're a big, you want to be obviously a lot better than that. 1 of 4 from behind the arc, grabbing 6 rebounds, dishing out 2 assists, and having a steal as well as a blocked shot. He did it all on the floor for Coach Smith Peters, along with Julian Norris, another starter in double digits, who shot 3 of 11 from the field. Was able to make his free throws, though, 5 of 7 from there, grabbing 4 rebounds and having 1 assist. For Three Rivers, you were led mostly by Matt Hampton here. 9 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc. 4 rebounds for 20 points. And then you have Demetrius White, 3 of 5 from the field, 8 of 10 from the foul line. So early on, really being able to rack up those foul shots going forward, finishing with 14 points. Then you have Darian Wesson for the Raiders, 3 of 4 from the field, off the bench for 8 points. And really, that's the only point production that you get off of the bench um, for Three Rivers. So it was really Hampton and White that they were able to take care of business and lead Three Rivers to the victory against John A. Logan. And again, as we get ready to look at the last game that Logan played here in Motlow State, where they were able to hold home court advantage, you look at the Bucks shooting wise, they outshoot John A. 46.9 compared to 41.9. And they had 5 of 12 shooting from behind the arc compared to Logan's 7 of 21. And then you look at the score, 75 to 58. This is where the box score really kind of lies to you for the most part. I mean, shooting wise, you see it. You are only able to get to the foul line 10 times, however, and then you turn the ball over 26 times compared to Logan's 14. That does it right there, really. Those turnovers kill a team. Obviously, early in the season, you're going to have a lot more turnovers than you are later on in the season. But 26 of them, I don't know how you win a ball game with 26 turnovers. You really want to be in the low to mid teens, kind of where Logan is right here. And again, all three of their games, they've been in that high to mid teens in the turnover battle assist range. Logan out assists them 19 to 9 and out rebounds them 37 to 23. So you can kind of see where Logan was able to control. They were able to control the boards and turn up the pressure when Motlow had the ball. Let's go ahead and look at the shooting for the Bucks. You were led by Tristan Fleming, 5 of 12 from the field, 3 of 3 from the foul line, finishing out with 15 points. And then you have Pedro Lazaro, 6 of 9 from the field for Lazaro. He had 7 steals, however, and finishing with 12 points and grabbing 5 assists to go along with those 7 steals. So he was able to force Logan to turn the ball over. And there's half of Logan's turnovers right there is with Lazaro. And finally, you have Anthony Hanna for the Bucks, shooting wise, 6 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, grabbing 8 rebounds and finishing with 14 points. Again, midseason numbers right here for Hanna, and that's where you're going to want him if you are a Bucks fan. For the Vols, however, once again, you are so you actually are led by, Caden Hawkins, who was 7-8 from the foul line, 4 of 10 from the field, 16 points, grabbing 4 assists and 2 rebounds as well. He did have 4 turnovers. Darian Rucker was 4 of 7 from the field for the Vols, 2 of 2 from behind the arc, finishing with 15 points, having 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Devarius Lowry, 4 of 12 from the field for the Vols, with 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and finishing with 12 points in double digits. The last one I want to really cover is Xavier Zubrick, 4 of 5 from the field for him. He had 8 rebounds overall and 8 points. Really a great time here for the Vols. Now you do get a technical foul with Jaden Miles, but Isaiah Breeden for Motlow also committed a technical, so I don't know if that was a double tech situation. But once again, you don't have anybody fouling out for the Vols, only 14 personal fouls, and really it was pretty clean game, 15 and 14 fouls. So this game was high pace, and that's the way Logan really likes to play these teams, is run a gun, but being able to stay fundamental, and that's what they look like at Vincennes. I wasn't able to really check out what they did in the Midwest Jamboree, but as the Vincennes Jamboree wore on, I said it in the preview episode, they were the most put together team. You lose by 3 points to a very good Three Rivers team. You knock the bricks off of Middle Area, who is ranked going into the season. And you finished the first 2 weeks going 2-1, and really still looking great going into the first part of the season. So big kudos there for Coach Smith Peters and the John A. Logan Volunteers. The next team that we're going to be covering in this district recap for weeks 1 and 2 is going to be Kaskaskia College. And Kaskaskia, the Blue Devils, took on Missouri Baptist on November 5th and Southeastern Illinois College on November 7th. Like I said, with these games, sometimes we get a set schedule, sometimes we don't. Kaskaskia did not play the first week. They just played this past week, and they opened up against a JV team in Missouri Baptist where they rolled them 104-63. They led 43-35 in the first half and then just really took over in the second half, 61-28. Kaskaskia took 90 shots. Oh my goodness. 90 shots, hitting 45.6 of them from the field, 8 of 27 from behind the arc. If you're going to shoot 90 shots and you're going to shoot 27 threes, you got to hit more than 8. I'm sorry, Kaskaskia, but 29% from behind the arc is not great. Obviously, I can't see how Missouri Baptist did because they did not insert their stats in NJCAA. And that's kind of the one bad part of having NJCAA as my main source to go through. You guys get to see this now this year compared to last year by just taking my word for it. Missouri Baptist, at the time of this recording, has not entered in the stats, or Kaskaskia has not entered those stats in for them as well. You can see that Kaskaskia got 55 rebounds, 32 assists, and had 12 turnovers in their opening game. But again, my goodness, that 90 shots, I think that has to be inflated a little bit. Although when you score 104 points, nothing's off the table. So again, we can't really go over stats, individual stat-wise for Missouri Baptist, as you see. And again, if you're listening on Spotify, you just have to take my word for it. That there is no stats here for Missouri Baptist University. For Kaskaskia opening up, you had 3 players in double digits as starter-wise, all with 20 points. Lionel Hodges, 9 of 17 shooting, which is about right for him. Last year, he was really good. 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 20 points for him. Anthony Standiford, 6 of 12 shooting, 8 of 10 from the foul line, grabbing 9 rebounds total, 4 defensive rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 20 points for him. And Kobe Wilmont, the last person with 20 points for the Kaskaskia Blue Devils, 8 of 14 shooting, 4 of 9 from the behind the arc. So there's your 3-point shooter right there, Kobe Wilmont. 3 assists and 1 block shot, 20 points. Markel Newsom, a new member for the Blue Devils, was 6 of 9 from the field and 3 of 5 from behind the arc. He finished with 17 points, had 13 assists and 6 rebounds to go along with that. So again, starter-wise, 4 of your 5 get into double digits. And then looking off the bench, you had a couple that participated well, and that is Jared Mackey. He was 3 of 9 from the field, adding 8 points. And Miles Linden, 4 of 9 from the field, also having 8 points off the bench. But again, with Kaskaskia, when taking on a JV team, really hard to see where you can improve on when you don't have like their opposing stats in front of you. You just have your own 55. Again, 55 rebounds is amazing, and 32 assists with 12 turnovers. Not turning the ball over a lot with all those rebounds and assists. I can see you winning by that much and putting up that many points, but God, that 90 shots, that is tough for me to swallow if you're looking at it that way. But going ahead to their game on Thursday against Southeastern Illinois. Fun fact, this used to be a district game. This used to be a conference game for the teams. Southeastern Illinois has dropped out of the NJCAA, and again, they are, I believe, a club team. Don't quote me on that, but I believe they are club now. So Kaskaskia taking on Southeastern Illinois. Again, a former GRAC opponent, now a pre-conference opponent. 73 shots. Oh my. So maybe that 90 shots against Missouri Baptist wasn't a lie. Again, going 35 of 73 from the field, 47.9. That looks a little bit better. Kaskaskia, 47.9% from the field, 4 of 13 from behind the arc, though. Again, if you're going to jack up 73 shots, you got to hit more than 4 threes. I'm sorry. Only shooting 9 free throws in the game is interesting. Again, I don't have anything to counter this, though, on the Southeastern side, so I can't really say. 38 rebounds, 23 assists, and only 10 turnovers. Looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. Team stat-wise, you look amazing on the floor. Just hard to counter that with when I don't have anything to really compare it to. And again, individual box score. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Again, nothing for me to talk about for Southeastern Illinois, unfortunately. For Kaskaskia, we'll get to them in a second. First of all, you have a huge lead in the first half, 47-25, leading at the break. And then the second half gets extremely close here, 32-27 in the second half. And there you go. That's how you explain how you win against Southeastern Illinois by 27 points when you led by 22 at half. Now, going into the breaking down of this, again, Lionel Hodge, he's going to be your bread and butter, Kaskaskia. He was 12 of 20 shooting from the field, 2 from behind the arc, grabbing 4 defensive rebounds, 7 rebounds total, 1 assist, 4 steals, finishing with 24 points. Markel Newsom was efficient once again as a starter, 7 of 10 from the field, 1 of 3 from behind the arc, having 11 assists and a steal to only 1 turnover, finishing with 15 points. Anthony Stanford, 3 of 7 from the field, finishing with 7 points, and Kobe Wilmont finishing 2 of 6 with 5 points. So those two, again, not super great, but again, with an early opponent like SIC, not backbreaking. Really having to rely on Lionel Hodge here, though, is going to be something that will be interesting to see once we hit district play, how well he adjusts again to being that guy for Kaskaskia. Now, I will say you get a little bit more reprieve off the bench with Miles Liddell. He was 5 of 10 for 14 points and having 10 rebounds on his day. Also, Jared Mackey shooting 4 of 8 from the field, finishing with 8 points. Again, shooting-wise, you look great on paper. I have not been able to look at you past your Jamboree days, and you look okay. You look like you're the traditional Kaskaskia team where really when we're looking at this, 2 games into the season is still really too young for you to get a grasp on what Kaskaskia is. And I don't think we'll see what they truly are until we hit December and we see the first couple of district matchups. But anyway, that's the Kaskaskia Blue Devils heading into week 3 of the NJCAA season 2-0. The next team that we're going to be covering is going to be the Lakeland Lakers. They did play on November 2nd, where they took on the Lincoln Land Loggers. In this game, oh my goodness, Lakeland, you shot 70 shots. So maybe a Kaskaskia really did put up that many shots in their opponents. Unlike Kaskaskia, however, Lakeland did shoot well. They shot 45% from the floor. Okay from behind the arc. 9 of 24 from behind the arc for 37.5%. I would love to see that around 45%. If you're going to jack up 24 shots, Lakeland, but can't really be too mad about you. You hit at a great clip. Free throw wise, 11 of 19 for 57.9. Again, really disproportionate that you're not getting to the foul line if you're putting up 70 shots and only 20 free throw attempts. On the other hand, however, Lincoln Land shot 57 times for 43.9% from the field, 6 of 19 from behind the arc, good for 31.6, and did not get to the stripe hardly at all. 6 of 7 from the foul stripe, good for 85.7, but that's not going to win you a ton of games. Loggers, rebound battle was relatively close, 38-31. Assist battle was a little bit more lopsided, but that really doesn't put too much into the column for the Lakers. However, this one does. And when we look at the score, 84-62, here is why the turnover battle. 24 turnovers for Lincoln Land compared to 7 for Lakeland. Oh my goodness. So that's how you win a ball game, Lakers. 84 points to 62. Again, 24 turnovers, forcing 24 turnovers in a game is huge. Again, you led by 9 at the half, and you were able to extend that a little bit further to get your 22-point victory. Individual-wise, let's go ahead and look at the Loggers. First, you were led by A.J. Tillman. He shot 3 of 9 from the field, 6 of 6 from the foul line, grabbing 2 rebounds, finishing with 12 points. Gus McCray led you in rebounds with 10 rebounds, all of them being defensive. He was 3 of 6 from the field, finishing with 8 points, and he had 4 turnovers as well. But that huge rebounding grabbing there from McCray is big for the Loggers. Off the bench, you had a couple players that were close to being in double digits with Logan Tomlinson and Ian Case. Case was 4 of 12 from the field, finishing with 9 points. And Tomlinson was 4 of 6 from the field, finishing with 9 as well. But again, Case not shooting great, 33%, and he was 1 of 4 from behind the arc as well. For the Lakeland Lakers, you were led by Johnny Jones with 18 points. He was 6 of 12 from the field, and 5 of 10 from behind the arc. And that's where, if you're going to shoot a lot, you better make a lot. And Johnny Jones, a 50% clip. Like I said, Lakers as a team, I want to see you around 45% if you're going to shoot 24 threes. He was 50% at 5 for 10. He finished with 18 points. Devin Woods was 5 of 9, had 10 assists, finishing with a double-double with 10 points. Off the bench, Denham Leslie was 5 of 12, 2 of 4 from behind the arc with 12 points. He grabbed 4 rebounds for you. But really, it was Sean Dekonovich off the bench, 5 of 11 from the field, 6 of 7 from the stripe, 6 rebounds, 5 of them being on the defensive end of the ball, finishing with 16 points. That is the Sean Dekonovich that was a menace once you hit district play, and him able to continue to do that in the opening game of the season really speaks a lot of volume to what he was able to put in the offseason. Again, Hinkaba, Jones, and Woods also starting and being able to put up those types of numbers. Again, I didn't really talk much about Hinkaba. He was 4 of 7, finishing with 9 points, so just a point shy of being in double digits as well. But those guys really are going to be your core for Coach Larry. And again, you saw this when they took on the Loggers of Lincoln Land in the opening game on November 2nd. Now, they did go ahead and go to Richard J. Daley College as we look at the team stats. And I can't talk about Daley. As much as I want to give the Bulldogs their props, I simply cannot. I have nothing on them from this game. that was done on Election Day. For the Lakers, however, I can talk about them. They put up 75 shots again. Holy moly, Lakers. 45.3% shooting, 7 of 25 from behind the arc, however. So you drop in the efficiency in that part, finishing with 28%. You were able to get to the free throw line 25 times, hitting 17 of them. Good for 68%. You had 56 rebounds with 22 assists. Again, really what you had in the last game. But you double your turnovers with 16 turnovers for the Lakers. Again, really can't talk about Daly. I would love to talk about Daly. But if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I have nothing to go off of. Spotify listeners, you just have to trust me where I say I have nothing to go off of. Individual-wise, for the Lakers, however, you have 4 players in double digits. Peyton Weimer finishing 3 of 8, shooting 2 of 3 from behind the arc with 10 points. Devin Woods was 4 of 11 from the field, grabbing 5 rebounds total, 11 assists. He had another double-double night. He finished with 10 points. Samuel Hincapié, 4 of 12 from the field. So, again, not really finding his stroke yet. I do expect that to get a lot better going deeper into the season. 6 rebounds for him. He finished with 12 points as well. You were led by Stevie Tatum. He was 6 of 11 from the field, 2 of 2 for the foul line. Had 3 turnovers, but finished with 15 points. Joshua Bryant led you off the bench with 18 points, shooting 7 of 10. Dikonovic took a step back with 4 of 12 for 8 points. But it really was, like I said, Dikonovic finishing with 8 points, 4 of 12 shooting. Taking a step back, I really don't expect that a lot from Dikonovic. But as the season goes on, and once we hit district play, he's going to be one of your leaders. Saturday, November 9th, you hosted your Laker Classic in Mattoon. I remember when this was actually a tournament. And actually, hold on one second here. Matter of fact, here it is, the Lakeland Laker 2011 Laker Classic. That used to be a tournament where we participated in as Vincennes, and we won it the first time we participated in it. Now it's more of a traditional classic, and you guys and Lakeland took on Olive Harvey College, winning this one by 9 or 11. 9 points. I wanted to say 11 for some reason. Again, shooting really, really well from the field, 60.7% from the field. 61 shots. So again, seeing that come down as the quality of opponents step up there. But here's where I really like what you were able to do against Olive Harvey. 10 of 17 from behind the arc, 58.8%. So again, that's where if you're going to take the shots, you better make them, and they did. On the other side, though, the Panthers shot 49 shots for 67.3. So the ball was just scorching the net. They were 13 of 21, good for 61.9 from behind the arc. And again, everything is just lit up here. That net must have been on fire. Free throw wise, Lakeland was 21 of 27, and Olive Harvey was 18 of 25, good for 72, 78% respectively there. It came down to the rebounding battles. 32 for the Lakers compared to only 11 for the Panthers. The assists, again, not a huge factor here. And the turnovers pretty even at 22 for Lakeland compared to 20 for the Panthers. And again, third game now, and your turnovers are going in the wrong direction, Lakers. I'm sure Coach Larry knows this and talked about you before your game, before your fourth game. But just casual fan observant, you go from 7 in game 1 to 22 in game 3. really not in the correct direction that you want to be going. Olive Harvey was led by Christopher Hammond, who was 8 of 10 from the field, 5 of 6 from behind the arc, good for 25 points. He also had 5 steals and 3 assists. Jesse Bates was 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from behind the arc for 14 points, had 6 assists as well. Cedric Williams finished with 10 points for the Panthers, was 3 of 3 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc. And they only played with 9 or 8 players. So their sparse bench, Derek Hicks, was 7 of 10 from the field for 17 points. And Jacre Spates, sorry if I mispronounced that name, 3 of 4 from the field for 10 points. So a short bench probably is what allowed the Lakers to kind of pull away here. It was 62-47 at the half. Olive Harvey was able to close the gap a little bit, but not enough. Again, 105-96 being the final. For the Lakers, however, you had 3 people in double digits, led by Samuel Hinkapie. Again, like I said in game 1, he is going to be your bread and butter going into district play. 10 of 13 shooting, 5 of 9 from the foul line, grabbing 6 rebounds, finishing with 26 points. Peyton Weimer, another player in double digits. I've called his name a couple times in this video. He was 5 of 7 from the field, finishing with 14 points, grabbing 5 assists and 4 rebounds. Devin Woods, 7 of 8 free throws, 4 of 9 from the field, 9 assists, 5 rebounds for him, finishing with 16 points. And Sean Dekonovich, again, Woods, Hinkapie, Dekonovich, your big 3 for the Lakers. He was 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc, and finishing with 19 points. Joshua Bryant, once again, being able to get double-digit scoring, finishing 5 of 9 from the field, grabbing 7 rebounds and 12 points. Again, a very up and down type game for the Lakers. And I saw that they can go out and run in the Jamboree. I know they don't like to. Traditionally, they don't like to, but who knows? Maybe with Hinkapie and them finding their stroke, they are going to be able to do so. And if they are going to, once again, going to be one of those teams that is going to be very, very difficult to contain. Finally, they finished out their classic here. And again, recording this the night before this goes up, I unfortunately don't have anything for Lakeland. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see this. Spotify listeners, once again, just having to take my word for it. There is no stats on Lakeland. Jefferson College, however, pulls out loses narrowly, 87-84. It was tied at half, and Lakeland was able to pick up a 3-point victory there. Jefferson College, 74 shots, 43% from the field, 7 of 23 for good for 30%. Free throw wise, 13 of 17. They had 19 turnovers. I mean, I won't dive too far into this. They were led by Nick Davis, who was 10 of 20 from the field, good for 25 points. Also had 12 rebounds to go along with it. Gabe Watkins and Cole Rickerman finished with 14 points apiece for Jefferson College. And again, so the Lakers finish out 4-0 in the first 2 weeks of the season. And again, they look really good early on. If the Olive Harvey contest is anything to go by, they are going to be a very difficult team. If they look more like they did against Daly, it's going to be interesting once we hit district play. But again, a good slate of games for them going into it. It's just going to be interesting to see how they capitalize going forward. The next team that we're going to be covering are the Lincoln Trail Statesmen. They open up their season against Harry S. Truman College. on November 2nd. Unfortunately, once again, I have no stats to compare for Harry S. Truman. Lincoln Trail, however, like Kaskaskia, like Lakeland, before them, they put up 80 shots in their opening game, hitting 45% of them, 36 of 80 for the Statesmen, 8 of 26 from behind the arc. And Statesmen, like I told the Lakers, like I told the Blue Devils, if you're going to shoot 80 shots and you're going to take 26 threes, make at least 45% of them. And then I'll be a happy camper, and I can see a justification for this. 30.8% is nowhere near that. Obviously, free throw line, you don't get to the line as much as well. I can see that being a problem once we hit district play. Again, Harry S. Truman, they're a good ball club, but they are not at the level of competition that we will see come December. So, obviously, first game of the season. Again, let me preface this by saying that first game of the season. So, we could see a lot of things change between now and December. You grab 47 rebounds, good. 20 assists to 11 turnovers. Again, nothing that we haven't really seen too much from the other schools that have taken on opponents. Individual wise, Gabe Amorgi was one of 4 starters in double digits. He finished with 15 points, 6 of 9 shooting for him, grabbing 7 rebounds as well. Again, a returning starter for the Statesmen. Ty Williams, a transfer coming in, or a freshman, 9 of 18 shooting. 1 of 5 from behind the arc, however, grabbing 6 assists, go along with 4 rebounds, finishing with a team high 21 points. A third person in double figures was Michael White, 7 of 13 from the field, 4 of 8 from behind the arc, finishing with, like I said, 18 points with grabbing 2 assists as well. He did get into foul trouble with grabbing 4 fouls. So if you're able to get him out of foul trouble and keep him in the ball game, he can put up some numbers. And then finally, the last statesman in double figures was Ja'Cory Phillips, 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 2 from behind the arc, grabbing 8 rebounds and finishing with 10 points. Off the bench wise, Ronnie Ellis was the only statesman in double figures. He was 4 of 10. He only made 1 3-pointer, however. He did grab 3 rebounds, finishing with 11 points. So again, the statesman, you led 51-27 at the half, and being able to barely be outscored here. Again, without really seeing what Truman was able to do, I can't tell you guys what the deciding factor is, but I'm going to lean on turnovers for a 20-point win like this. Turnovers is almost always going to be the answer. As we move into this week's games, like I said, they also participated in the Laker Classic. But once again, they don't have stats, individual stats, and no team stats. So, I mean, without anything to going off of, I can't really tell you why they beat Jefferson College 98-93. Jefferson College shot the ball 44% from the field, 10 of 25 from behind the arc. You know, that's 40%. So, good. They shot the ball well from the free throw line. They didn't turn the ball over a ton. So maybe it was just Lincoln Trail being able to shoot the ball. But again, I can't really say anything because I'm recording this before the day before this goes up. And this was played on last Friday or last Saturday. So, or the Saturday. So, again, I'll quickly go over Jefferson College, I guess. Cade Harmon led the way for Jefferson College, 8 of 12 shooting, 6 of 9 from behind the arc. He finished with 22 points. Ethan Meeks, 3 of 5 shooting for him, grabbing 5 rebounds and finishing with 10 points. Cole Rickerman and Gabe Watkins, both finishing with 12 points. Watkins, 4 of 11. Rickerman, 4 of 10. Watkins had 6 assists and 2 rebounds. Rickerman had 3 rebounds, 4 assists. Uh, really, it was Sean Villena for Jefferson College off the bench, letting all scorers 7 of 14 from the field, grabbing 6 rebounds, finishing with 20 points. And again, really can't tell you what else from there, just gathering it off of stat wise. Again, I go off of what I see on NJCAA.org. And you guys are now being able to see this as well. So, again, I hate saying this, but this is when I get frustrated on when I record these podcast days. And during the once we hit district play, it will be a lot better. I promise you, because we'll have stats at least somewhat. But again, I really can't tell you what happened here. Olive Harvey shot the ball well, 42.4%, 4-14 from the field. Free throw wise, they shot well, had 34 rebounds, 14 assists. I can't tell you anything about Lincoln Trail, unfortunately. I would love to. I just can't. Unless I go to Dave Hunter's stuff, and I'm not going to dox Dave Hunter. No. I respect him too much to be able to do that, so I'm leaving everything off of that and just going strictly off of the NJCAA.org website. This game was played today, however, or yesterday at the time of this recording. So I can tell you that Lincoln Trail won bigly, 107-71. That's about it. Again, Lincoln Trail starting off really well to start the season, 3-0. Kind of like where I thought the Statesman would be. Jefferson College is always a toss-up. They just restarted their basketball program last year, so I don't know too much about them. But other than that, the Statesmen are going to play well. I think Gable Morgie is going to be your big-time scorer, and that's all I got, unfortunately. I do know that they got a couple of tough tests coming up on them, and I'll discuss that when we get into the preview section of this. So on to the next team. The next team that we're going to be covering are going to be the Olney Central Blue Knights. I got to see Olney Central quite a bit as I follow Vincennes closely, being my alma mater and all. So Olney Central, the first 2 weeks, spent their weekends in Vincennes, playing in the McDonald's Classic and the Kiwanis Classic. Starting with the Kiwanis Classic that was on opening night, November 1st. They took on Columbia State and lost narrowly, 90-93. The Chargers were able to come back from a 3-point deficit to outscore the Blue Knights by 6 in the second half. Looking at the stats, this is as even can get. Olney Central was 32 of 70. Columbia State was 34 of 69. Good for 49% and 45%. Kaskaskia, Lakeland, Lincoln Trail. This is what I'm talking about. You shoot 30 of your shots from behind the arc. You make 14 of them, good for 46%. So getting a lot of shots up and a lot of them being behind the arc, but being able to hit a lot of them, you're going to be able to stay in a ton of games. You limit down those long rebounds. Columbia State was 5 of 13 from behind the arc, good for 38.5. Here is where it really turns out to be the difference. I mean, we can look at the field goals here, 34 compared to 32. But I really want to look at the free throws discrepancy. 30 for the Chargers, 19 for the Blue Knights. So 20 of 30 compared to 10 of 19. And you see it. Olney Central was out-rebounded, 58-24. There's another factor in their 3-point loss to the Chargers. Assist to turnover ratio, the Chargers turned the ball over 22 times compared to Olney Central's 11, and the assists were relatively close at 18-16. Individual stat-wise for the Chargers, they were led by Thaddeus Johnson. He was 6 of 11 from the field, and 3 of 3 from the foul line, grabbing 7 rebounds, 6 assists, finishing with 16 points. Simeon Williams was the only other starter for the Chargers in double figures. He was 4 of 11 from the field, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, grabbing 7 rebounds as well. Again, Albany Central was heavily out-rebounded here. And you have Mekhi Wright grabbing 9 rebounds as well. He finished a point shy of double digits. But Simeon Williams finished with 11 points. Kenneth Ellis was your overall leading scorer, along with Thaddeus Johnson for the Chargers. 5 of 6 from the floor, grabbing 4 rebounds, 3 of them being defensively and having 4 assists as well. He finished with 16 points. And the last Charger in double figures was Jamison Glass. He was 6 of 12 from the field, grabbing 8 rebounds. Again, if you're heavily out-rebounded, that's going to be a big difference when you come into ball games. He finished with 13 points as well. For the new head coach, Joel Levina, and I don't think that he was anticipating being the head coach when I talked to him during the Jamboree. But again, Coach Glass unfortunately had to step down. So Coach Levina is now the head coach. I would love to have him once again, Coach. I know you watch this on the podcast, so we can talk more. Jaleel Bethea led the way for the Albany Central Blue Knights. 9 of 16 shooting, 6 of 11 from the foul line. Had 6 assists to go along with 4 rebounds for a game-high 27 points. Leading the way, and 4 starters in double digits. Donovan Famakadide, and I will learn that name. 5'11" for him, 5 rebounds, and 14 points. Cristobal Vargas, another Blue Knight in double figures, 5 of 9 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, 2 steals, 2 assists, and 12 points. And Avian Morris, the last Blue Knight starter in double figures, 4 of 6 from the field for 11 points. He also grabbed 2 steals. The only Blue Knight in double figures off the bench, and Coach Levina only playing 9 in this game, was Logan Webb. He was 4 of 14 from the field, 4 of 11 from behind the arc. However, he did grab 6 rebounds, and he finished with 12 points. Really, so that poor performance shooting for Webb kind of spelled doom for the Blue Knights in the first game of the Kiwanis Classic. The next game they had to play was against East Mississippi Community College. Again, coming all the way up from Scuba, Mississippi. I know you know this name from Last Chance U. Again, a very close loss for the Blue Knights. They fall 79-75. They once again trailed by 1 at the half and just not able to step it up in the second half. Looking at why that was, again, 59 shots, 57, very, close together there. 49.2% shooting for the Blue Knights compared to 40.4. Here it is. 7 of 21 shooting, only 33% from behind the arc. And you lose the turnover battle 13-8. That's how you lose games, and you're out rebounded by 11. Again, with close games like this, where the stat line looks very similar, East Mississippi didn't shoot the ball well either. They were 5 of 19 from behind the arc, good for 26.3%. But again, you put them on the stripe 37 times, and they make 28 of those. So, kind of copy and paste what I said for Columbia State for East Mississippi. It was getting to the line. It was the turnovers, and it was the rebounding battle that killed the Blue Knights here. Some individual stats for the Blue Knights. Once again, led by Jaleel Bethea. 8 of 19 shooting for him. He grabbed 5 assists and 4 rebounds, finishing with 21 points. Avian Morris was 8 of 15 shooting, good for 2 of 6 from behind the arc, grabbed 2 assists, and had 20 points. Devian Makanide was 6 of 10 from the field, grabbed 5 defensive rebounds out of his 6, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block shot. He finished with 16 points. Again, Coach Levina only ran 8 players here, and nobody off the bench was in double figures. Julian Bunton was your closest with 3 of 3 shooting for 8 points. EMCC scoring leaders was DeAndre Lewis. He was 4 of 10 shooting, but he really got all of his points here on the free throw stripe. He grabbed 4 rebounds, had 3 assists, 2 steals. He finished with 26 points. Yamari Alette was 6 of 17 shooting, 7 of 8 from the foul line. Had a double-double, 19 points, 11 rebounds. 9 of them being defensively, 2 of them being big offensive rebounds for them. He also grabbed 3 steals. But 3 EMCC players in double digits there, of course, led by DeAndre Lewis. And they didn't really have anybody in the off the bench. Jonathan Baker was your most efficient player off the bench. 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 4 from the foul line. He had 5 assists, finishing with 9 points. So Coach Levina leaves Vincennes on the first weekend with an 0-2 record. Obviously, not something that he was looking forward to. He then heads up to Malcolm X College, and day after the election, and again, looking at this, he falls once again. He's 0 for 3 to start his collegiate coaching career in earnest. I know he did step in for a week or so last year when we were able to sit down and chat. But again, close in the first half, and that was actually the difference because you got Olney Central and Malcolm X tied in the second half. So 96-94 being your final score. Olney shoots the ball really well, 50% from the floor, not 7 of 16 from behind the arc. So again, an improvement from their second game against Olney or EMCC. But as we look down, you were able to get to the line more, 40-32. Rebounding, you won that battle by 5. It was the turnovers here. 9 more turnovers cost the Blue Knights the game more than likely. Again, when I look at these stat lines, I look at the rebounds and I look at the turnovers. If one of those can stand out more than the other, I can normally find why a team lost this ballgame. Let's go ahead and get some individual leaders for the Blue Knights. Jaleel Bethea, once again, leading the way, 30 points. He had 9 of 19 shooting, 12 of 19 from the foul line. Grabbed 6 rebounds, had 4 steals as well. Avian Morris, 4 of 9 shooting, good for 10 points. And Donovan Famakadide, 6 of 11 shooting, 2 of 3 from behind the arc, grabbing 7 rebounds, good for 16 points as well. And again, if he continues this up, I will have to I will reach out to Coach Levina and ask for a phonetic spelling on that, or phonetic pronunciation on that name. So Sean Brown leading the way for the Blue Knights off the bench, 15 points, 3 of 8 shooting, grabbing 4 rebounds as well for the Blue Knights in a losing effort. For Malcolm X, they had a couple players in double or with 20 plus points. Jaquan Dixon, 8 of 15 shooting, 8 rebounds to go along with 5 assists for them, 21 points. Colin Woods, 6 of 13 shooting, and they finished with 14 points, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, also grabbing 5 rebounds. Jalone Johnson, 7 of 13 shooting, 4 of 6 from behind the arc, good for 21 points. Had 3 assists and 2 rebounds as well. Off the bench wise, they only had one person, and that was Kyle Smith, 3 of 8 shooting for 13 points. He was 7 of 7 from the foul stripe. And once again, the Blue Knights, again, great shooting performance, 50% from the field, 40+% from behind the arc. That's what you want, but not getting the result that you needed. Going into the McDonald's Classic here, back in Vincennes once again are the Blue Knights. And it makes sense. They're only half an hour or so away from VU. Kennedy King, I cannot speak of why Only Central picks up their first win of the season here, comparing stat wise at least, because Kennedy, like I said, and you on YouTube can see, Kennedy King has no stats. I will say Only Central 29 of 71 shooting, good for 48. Again, not a great 3-point shooting night for the Blue Knights, 28% there. Free throw shooting wise, 15 of 22, grabbing 36 rebounds and only having 12 assists. If I were to guess, that is going to be my answer. They out rebounded Kennedy King and they turned the ball over a little bit less. Let's go ahead and look at stats for the Blue Knights. Evian Morris, 6 of 12 shooting, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. He was also 8 of 9 from the foul line, grabbing 4 rebounds and 4 assists, good for 23 points. Jaleel Bethea, 5 of 15 shooting for him. He did have 5 assists to go along with 4 rebounds, good for 11 points. And Logan Webb shooting 4 of 12, good for 13 points, netting 2 threes there, grabbing 6 boards. But again, Donovan here, 9 of 16 shooting and grabbing 21 points off the bench this time because Javon Jones got back into action here. And he grabbed 7 rebounds as well. So as we continue going through Omni Central's week 2, their final game was against Richard J. Daley College at VU for the McDonald's Classic. And again, they shot really well. 41 for 82, 50% shooting. 11 of 35 from behind the arc, good for 31.4. 7 of 13 free throws. Again, if I were to have to guess, rebounding and only turning the ball over 12 times. Box score wise, we'll go ahead and congratulate Jaleel Bethea and Javon Jones, both with 20-plus points. Bethea was 11 of 22 shooting, had 7 assists to go along with 4 rebounds, finishing with 26 points. Javon Jones, 9 of 12 shooting, had a double-double with grabbing 10 defensive rebounds out of his 12, finishing with 20 points. Logan Webb, not to be outdone, just shy of 20 points as well. 7 of 17 shooting, 4 of 12 from behind the arc. He grabbed 10 rebounds too, finishing with 18 points. And Cristobal Vargas being off the bench with 15 points, 5 of 11 shooting, 5 of 10 from behind the arc, and grabbing 5 rebounds. And Donovan did as well shoot in double digits, 5 of 7, so very efficient, had 7 assists to go along with 3 rebounds. Again, Daley can't really say anything about him. But again, Coach Levina coming in and having 5 games in 2 weeks, finishing out at a 2-3 record. I know, especially in the first 2 games, those could have been a whole lot different. Even his losses, they are relatively close. So, yeah, I look forward to Coach Levina being on again. I would love to have him on. But that is the Omni Central recap. The next team that we're going to be covering are going to be the Shawnee Saints, who also open up their season on November 1st. They took on Link Year Prep and unfortunately fell 80-74. And it was a 10-point deficit for the Saints in the first half. They were able to cut it back a little bit, but unfortunately not able to do so enough. And again, unfortunately, I don't have anything to compare Shawnee's stats to Link Year's. It just is what it is. I will say the Saints shot 23 of 53, good for 43.4% from the floor, and with 16 from behind the arc. And there you go, guys. That's what I'm talking about. If you're going to put up more than 10 shots, you're going to have to make at least half of them. Good for 50%. Free throw wise, they were 20 of 28, so they were able to get to the line. Rebounding wise, they had 33 rebounds and 12 assists, 14 turnovers. Again, Really couldn't tell you how Shawnee lost this. I will say they did have four starters in double figures, led by Ladricus Pittman. Again, somebody who I highlighted in the preseason spotlight. 7 of 14 shooting, good for 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Had 10 assists, 8 rebounds as well with his 19 points. Johnny Anderson, another returning starter for Coach Sparks, was 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc. Grabbed 2 rebounds and unfortunately he did foul out. He finished with 18 points. Xavier Bell was 4 of 11 from the field, had 10 rebounds, and finished with 14 points. And the final Saint in double figures was Jalen White. He was 4 of 8 from the field, 5 of 10 from the foul line, had 8 rebounds, and finished with 13 points. Oh, here's where they probably fell short was they had no bench help. It was all relying on the starters. James Deloche was the only one that had more than a single point. He was 1 of 2 from the field, 2 from the foul line, grabbed 2 rebounds. So again, just speculating. It was right here on the bench, not getting any support. The starters did all they could, but as soon as Johnny Anderson fouled out, you needed to have somebody step up off the bench. And unfortunately for Coach Sparks, that didn't happen. However, in the second game, they had to take on a tough opponent, the Coffeyville Red Ravens. Now, the Red Ravens did get receiving votes in the preseason standings that came out, and we can actually break this down. So Coffeyville was 25 of 59 compared to Shawnee's 23 of 55. So really close there. 41%, 42% if you round that up, compared to almost 43%. Again, shooting wise, it looks pretty even. And the final stats here say it 80-72 was the final score. Coffeyville led, or Shawnee actually led this at the half. But just looking at this, everything else matches. Well, here it is. Like I said, with only, if I can find a big disparity, it's here. The rebounding. Coffeyville out rebounded the Saints 42-26. Probably most of that in the second half. Again, just looking at it, they outscored the Saints 48-37 in the second half. Everything else is really, really close. So that would be my guess on the disparity. Again, unfortunately wasn't able to watch it. Coffeyville weirdly has this as their stats. Justin Taylor led the way for the Red Ravens, 8 of 12 shooting, 6 of 9 from the foul line, having 7 rebounds, finishing with 23 points. Trenton Ruth also 6 of 13 from the field, 3 of 5 from behind the arc, finishing with 16 points as well. And the only other Red Raven in double figures was Abdul Kuta, 4 of 9 shooting from the field. He did grab 10 rebounds, finishing with 13 points. Shawnee, once again, was led by Ladricus Pittman with 19 points off of 5 of 12 shooting, 8 of 11 from the foul line, grabbing 3 rebounds, dishing out 6 assists. Once again, we have a Saint that fouled out, although he only scored 2 points, and that was Jalen White, 1 of 3 shooting, grabbing 2 rebounds. Xavier Bell was 4 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, good for 13 points. And Johnny Anderson, once again, stepping up big, 5 of 12 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, grabbing 10 rebounds, finishing with 13 points. So Johnny Anderson with a double-double early on. We get a little bit more help off of the bench for the Saints in this ballgame. Alan King finished with 5. Israel Welton finished with 7. And Laura McNeil finished with 3. But it was really Kashawn Washington off the bench, finishing with 10 points, 4 of 9 shooting to go along with 3 assists and 3 steals. Again, really close ball game here. Shawnee actually led at the half. Coffeyville just was able to pull out in the second half. In the next week's slate of games, they played two. They played against SEMO Prep and Brescia JV. As you saw, they won both of them. And I don't have anything for SEMO Prep, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and look at the stats for Shawnee. They put up the ball. 70 shots in this one, made 12 of 28 threes. Again, if you're going to shoot that much, I'd rather see you at a 40% or higher. They were able to do so here, and they were able to pick up their first big win on the season. 95-65 was your final. 17 of 21 shooting free throw wise for good for 81 points. Probably out rebounded SEMO Prep as well, and really having single digit turnovers is nothing to scoff at for the Saints. If you didn't watch the podcast or listen to the podcast last year, get this name for the Saints in your head and keep it there. Ladricus Pittman led the way. 9 of 16 shooting, 4 of 8 from behind the arc. Had 5 assists to go along with 6 rebounds and 3 steals, finishing with 26 points. Also, a name that you heard a lot last year was Johnny Anderson. He finished with 9 of 13 shooting here to open up the home stretch for the Saints, finishing 2 or 3 of 3 from the foul line, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, grabbing 5 rebounds, finishing with 23 points. Unfortunately, Keshawn Washington not effective in this ballgame at all. 1 of 6 shooting, good only for 2 points. Alan King led the way off the bench with 13 points off of a 4 of 8 shooting night. 3 of 7 from behind the arc and grabbing 4 rebounds to go along with 4 rebounds. All of them being on the defensive side of the ball. Again, they're going to need somebody else off this bench to step up. I don't know who it might be. Keshawn Washington is normally a starter here. But even off the bench, he has to do better than 2 points. Obviously, not really a factor in the game against SEMO Prep, but once we hit district play, and that's what I really look at, is going to be the key factor. And then you have Brescia JV, again, being able to pick up a good victory here, a JV team. But again, a home victory is always good to get the morale up for the Saints. 92-55 being your final score. And again, Shawnee just being able to dominate both halves here. 37 for 72 shooting and 7 of 18. So again, would rather have another made shot there, but I can't really complain too much. Probably out rebounded Brescia. And again, low turnovers, high rebounding. That's going to win you a lot of ball games in junior college. That's going to win you a lot of ball games, period. Not just in junior college, but in D1 college as well. Once again, Ladricus Pittman led the way for the Saints, 21 points, 8 of 17 shooting with 5 assists to go along with 2 rebounds. Xavier Bell had a double-double for himself with 12 rebounds and 13 points off of a 5 for 9 shooting night. John Deloche was 5 of 6, the most efficient Saint, finishing with 10 points and grabbing 5 rebounds as well. Israel Welton stepped up and was 7 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc. 4 points or 4 rebounds to go along with 19 points. Isaac Hossman grabbed 10 rebounds, had a double-double in rebounds and assists, just shy of a triple-double with 6 points. Keshawn Washington was 3 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from behind the arc, leading the Saints on the bench with 8 points. And Laura McNeil was 3 of 4, grabbing 5 rebounds as well, finishing with 7 points for the Saints. Again, a lot of good that you can see here with Shawnee, and they like to put the ball up a lot. And like I told everybody else before this, if you put up a lot of 3-pointers, I want to see you in this upper 30s to low 40s to mid 40s range. But yeah, being able to pick up a second win here, both wins being on your home floor, your 2 losses being on neutral sites. You got one big game or two big games this week coming up, and I will get to that very shortly. However, the Shawnee Saints finishing out 2-2 to start this year. Again, something kind of expected, especially when you had Coffeyville, a team that is notoriously at Hutch every single year, being your second game of the season. Up next is going to be the Swick Blue Storm. They opened up this week against Missouri Baptist JV, where they pummeled them 125-43, and really allowed only Missouri Baptist to score 15 points in the second half after scoring 60 on each half. Missouri Baptist scored 28 points in the first half. Holy moly, Swick. I mean, I knew that these teams like to shoot, but 50 for 86, 58% from the floor, 10 of 27 from behind the arc, for good for 37%. Like I said before, I'd rather see you up around 40, but 37 is still high 30s when you shoot 27 times. That is amazing. 67 rebounds, 29 assists. The only thing that concerns me in a big blowout like this is your 15 turnovers. Again, really can't say anything because Missouri Baptist didn't post any stats here. So individual stat wise for Swick, you had four players in double figures, led by Matthew Kerpu LZ, who was 7 of 11 from the field, 1 of 4 from behind the arc, grabbed 7 rebounds, finished with 17 points. Daquan Little was 6 of 11 from the field, 3 of 7 from behind the arc, had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, go along with 15 points. Julio Ridrago, 5 of 6 shooting, 4 of 6 from the foul line, grabbed 8 rebounds and 14 points. And Bennett Briles was 5 of 12 shooting, grabbed 12 rebounds, and finished with 10 points. Bench-wise, you had 4 in double figures as well. Nick Horace was 5 of 6 shooting and grabbed 6 rebounds for you, finishing with 15 points. Noah Blocker was 4 of 5 shooting, grabbed 3 rebounds, and finished with 10 points. Lee Williams, 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, finishing with 14 points. And Jamor Wengsler finished 5 of 10 shooting for 12 points, grabbed 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. So again, big first win for Swick on your home floor. And then you had to go in the Midwest Junior College Jam Challenge, taking on Mineral Area, where you fell 82-60. We will get stats here shortly. Bear with me. And as we look at this, very different than the JV. 58 shots put up by Swick compared to 60 for Moberly Area. Again, just outshot 8 of 32 from behind the arc, only 25%. And that's how you really lose games, because of the long rebound and whatnot. Moberly shot 7 of 19, good for 37% from behind the arc. Rebounding wise, Swick was out rebounded 42-31, and a huge turnover discrepancy, 20-8 in favor of Moberly Area. And like I said, that kind of tracks when you have an 82-60 victory for Moberly. Individual stat wise, Nick Horace was 4 of 8 shooting, good for 14 points. He was the only Swick player in double figures. However, a few did get close with Daquan Little, was 3 of 13, 1 of 8 shooting, for 9. And really, that was it. You had Zach Chambers 3 of 6 for 6 points. And yeah, I mean, Bennett Browse was 6 points. Matthew Kerpru LZ had 6 points. Gulio here had 7 points. And I mean, overall for Swick, it was not a great shooting night. For Moberly Area, KJ Vesser was 7 of 13 shooting, finishing with 21 points, had 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals. Drew was 5 of 10 shooting, finishing with 14 points. And again, those are the two Moberly area players in double figures. You did have Ronnie Mbanganu, 3 of 4 shooting, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, having 7 rebounds, finishing with 12 points. Again, just Moberly area able to out rebound them and turn Swick over. Something that they don't do a ton once we hit district play. So, Moberly area the last couple of years has been a thorn in the district's side. After that, they take on Missouri State, West Plains in the Midwest Junior College Challenge, and they fall to West Plains 68-61. Looking at this, Swick shot 22 of 63 compared to West Plains 20 of 57. West Plains once again shot 11 of 30 from behind the arc, good for 36.7. Swick couldn't hit anything behind the arc, shooting an abysmal 15.8% from behind the arc. Turnover-wise, lost the turnover battle 17-15 and won the rebounding battle 42-41. And again, with a close game like this, you kind of expect the numbers to look about the same. Let's go ahead and look at West Plains here. Javarian Downey led the way for West Plains, 3 of 7 shooting, 8 of 11 from the foul line, had 4 assists go along with 1 rebound, finished with 15 points. They had a couple of different players in double figures off the bench. Sedarius Glass led the way with 6 of 12 shooting, 3 of 8 from behind the arc, and finishing with 17 points. He also grabbed 4 rebounds. Jake Sage, was 4 of 5 shooting, finishing with 13 points for Missouri West Plains. For Swick, it was Bennett Briles leading the way off starter-wise, 5 of 9 shooting, finishing with 12 points. The only Blue Storm player in double digits. And again, once you get Braden Klein here, 2 of 7 shooting, finishing with 6 points. And Nick Horace, 3 of 8 shooting, finishing with 6 points, kind of helped you out a little bit. And you had Gulio here, 3 of 4 shooting for 8 points, grabbing 3 rebounds. Again, just outmatched. Lee Williams and Nick Horace, however, did grab double-digit rebounds. Just nobody else was able to get in double-digit scoring besides Bennett Briles. So one of those things, Bennett Briles, the lone returner, so that kind of makes sense that he steps up here. And he was able to, unfortunately for Swick, you fall once again, starting the season 1-2 on the year, and you get a little bit of reprieve with who you have coming up next, which I will get to after I finish recapping the last 2 teams. The second to last team is the Vincennes University Trailblazers, who took on EMCC in the opening round of the Kiwanis Classic, beating the Lions in overtime 80-73. Looking at team stat-wise, Vincennes was 22 of 47 from the field compared to EMCC's 29 of 67. 5 of 14 from behind the arc compared to the Lions' 7 of 16. Free throw discrepancy really tells it all here. 31 of 39 for the Blazers, 8 of 19 for the Lions. VU also out-rebounded East Mississippi 36-23, but they did have more turnovers at 22-16. Again, that's probably why this game went into overtime with a 13 rebound advantage, but a 6 turnover disadvantage here. Let's go ahead and look at some individual stats for both teams. Starting with the Lions, DeAndre Lewis led the way, 8 of 17 shooting, 3 of 5 from the foul line, grabbing 6 rebounds, finishing with 21 points. Jamarian Anderson finished 5 of 13 for 14 points. Also had 3 assists, 2 rebounds, Yomarni Alette finished 7 of 15 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the arc, had 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 4 steals, good for 17 points. And they got no bench help. That was probably another reason why Vincennes was able to win this game in overtime, because you get 2 players of the Lions, Israel Griffin and Armani Alette, fouling out here. And really Jonathan Baker in foul trouble a ton here as well. So that's probably how you get into the extra period, to be honest with you. EMCC led 37-33 at the half. And obviously Vincennes was able to send it in overtime in the second half, tying that up. For the Trailblazers, they were led by All-American LeBron Thomas, 5 of 10 shooting, 11 of 15, or 13 of 15 from the foul line, having 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block shot. He did turn the ball over 4 times, but he finished with 24 points. No other Blazer was in double digits. However, Hassan El-Gamarni was close, 3 of 7 shooting, grabbing 3 rebounds, finishing with 8 points. Off the bench, however, Christian Andrews led the way for the Trailblazers off the bench. 5 of 7 shooting, grabbing 2 assists as well, finishing with 17 points. And again, no other bench help, unfortunately. I do know that Coach Franklin does like to play with his bench as well as his starting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he played 11 players in this ball game, and only getting some help off the bench by Christian Andrews. Obviously, not what Coach Franklin looking for there. Dre Vassar and everybody else is going to have to step up. Michael Cooper was close. He was at 7 points. He did grab 10 rebounds as well, but he was 1 of 8 shooting from the field. That has to be better for the Blazers, and we will see shortly why. When it's not, it does not end well for them, as they took on Columbia State, as we mentioned when we saw them against Olney. The Chargers leave Vincennes 2-0 as they beat the host Blazers 80-68. They led at half 44-41 and able to extend that in the second half. Vincennes shot 24 of 59 from the field compared to Columbia State's 24 of 52. 5 of 11 for the Chargers from behind the arc compared to the Trailblazers, 4 of 17. Ouch. 23.5% shooting from behind the arc, especially when you put up 17 shots. That never ends well. Vincennes was heavily out-rebounded, 41-28, even though they did turn the ball over a little bit less at 18-23. But when you're out-rebounded by that much and that big of a discrepancy, that's not going to matter the turnover-wise. Let's go ahead and look at the individual stats. And Thaddeus Johnson led the way for the Chargers, 6 of 10 shooting, 9 of 10 from the foul line, had 4 rebounds, 21 points. Tavon Comage led the way as well, having 11 points off of a 3 of 7 shooting night, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. The bench for the Chargers was a little bit thinner. Jamison Glass finished with 10 points off of a 4 of 7 shooting night, and Kenneth Ellis was 4 of 7 as well, finishing with 12 points. For the Blazers, they were led by LeBron Thomas. Once again, 22 points, 6 of 17 shooting from the field, 3 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers, or no block shots, 1 turnover. But he battled foul trouble all night. He finished with 22 points. Michael Cooper got the starting game too. He was 5 of 9 shooting, finishing with 8 rebounds and 16 points. But also he was in foul trouble. Brandon Ekmu was 3 of 8 shooting, 4 rebounds. He fouled out with 6 points. And Dayton Williams, 7 of 13 shooting, had 9 rebounds, 2 assists, finishing with 17 points. But once again, no help off the bench. And once again, Coach Franklin played 11 players. So, once again, getting no help off the bench, basically had 3 starters carry your team. Trayvon Smith didn't score in the ball game. So having a starter score 0 and then getting no bench help, uh, as well as not being able to really shoot the ball well from deep, as well as getting heavily out rebounded, you can see why the number 18 Blazers fell to the Columbia State Chargers. And again, Columbia State's one of those teams that I will say, 95% of the time you'll see them at Hutch. So an early season test for the Blazers, a Hutch team or a historically Hutch team, and they fall 80 to 68. Um, they did rebound, however, taking on Richard J. Daly uh, in the first game of the McDonald's Classic. 48 of 89 shooting. Oh my goodness. 53.9 shooting overall, 11 of 21 from behind the arc. So putting up 21 shots, shooting over 50%, but getting 89 shots off of the Bulldogs. Holy moly. Uh, Free throw wise, you don't go to the stripe a ton, but you really don't need to as you led as 56-23 in the first half. They do cut it down a little bit, but you score 56 points in each half. Again, getting 89 shots up, you're going to do that. Having 54 rebounds, 33 assists, still a little high on the turnovers, but again, once you score 100 plus points, it really doesn't matter. So let's go ahead and look at, as you can see, I have nothing to go off of daily to kind of counteract hyping up Vincent as much as I just did. VU had 3 players in double figures. Brian Akmanu finished 7 of 9 shooting, grabbed 4 rebounds, 3 steals, finishing with 15 points. Michael Cooper was 7 of 11 shooting, had a double-double with 15 points and 11 rebounds, had 2 steals as well, but had 4 turnovers, finishing with 15 points. LeBron Thomas had 11 assists and 5 rebounds, but only scoring 6 points off of a 2 of 6 shooting night. But Dayton Williams picked him up 9 of 9 shooting, 7 of 7 from behind the arc was Williams, finishing with a team high 25 points. And I believe, if I remember Dave right, he was close to a VU record of 3-pointers there. He also had 6 rebounds and 3 assists with 3 block shots. The Vincennes Blazers do get a little bit of help off the bench with Kenaz Akachu finishing 9 of 14 shooting, 7 offensive rebounds, 8 rebounds overall, finishing with 19 points. And Travell Brunson finished 5 of 10 shooting for 13 points and had 6 rebounds as well for the Blazers. So VU being able to pick up another win. Daly out of Region 4 is a tough opponent for anybody. And then you turn around and you play Kennedy King in the McDonald's Classic. And this was actually homecoming for the Blazers as well. Unfortunately, not being able to get anything off of Kennedy King, but VU shot 33 of 62, good for 53%. However, 4 of 16 shooting from behind the arc, 25%, not great at all. They did get 48 rebounds with 25 assists and 13 turnovers. So each of the games, I'm seeing Vincent's turn the ball over less and less while out rebounding their opponents. And if Vincent is able to do that, typical Todd Franklin type coaching, able to do that, they are going to be very dangerous once December hits. But VU being able to pull out another 88-46 win. Again, leading by 21 at the half and keeping their foot on the pedal, outscoring them by 21 in the second half. So a big win there. Scoring wise for the Blazers, Dayton Williams led the way for the All-Starters with 13 points, 3 of 7 shooting, grabbing 5 rebounds. Michael Cooper, although he only had 6 points, he did grab 8 rebounds, or 10 rebounds, 8 of them being defensive rebounds. Brian Akmanu 5 of 7 shooting, 5 rebounds, and 10 points. Jalen Calloway finished with 8 points off of a 3 of 5 shooting night with 4 assists, 2 rebounds. Off the bench wise for the Blazers, Hassan Agamani finished 5 of 5 shooting, 4 rebounds, 11 points. Kenaz Akatu, Okagaru, I'll call Coach Davis about that pronunciation. I'll get it right for next week. 4 of 6 shooting for 8 points. Travell Brunson, 4 of 7 shooting for 8 points as well. Christian Andrews finished with 6 points, 2 of 7 shooting for the Blazers. Again, being able to pick up 2 big wins after dropping one of the games in your first game going into overtime. Big step forward for the Blazers from week 1 to week 2. They got a couple big opponents coming up, but I will get to them after I recap Wabash Valley. Last but not least, the Wabash Valley Warriors. They opened up against Moran Valley on November 2nd, beating them 78-72. The Warriors shot 28 of 66 from the field and 6 of 21 from behind the arc. My goodness gracious. Poor three-point shooting is a theme of this episode. Shooting-wise, however, they did lead. Moran Valley shot the ball a little bit worse, or a little bit better, 28 of 64 for them, and 7 of 23 from behind the arc. Again, 30% compared to 28%. Not a huge difference there. Free throw wise, both teams shot it at the stripe 22 times. Moran Valley leaving a lot of points on the board there. 9 of 22 from the foul stripe compared to Wabash Valley's 16 of 22. Rebounding wise, again, when I look at this close game, it's going to be rebounding. It's going to be turnovers. Wabash Valley wins both these battles, 18-19 in the turnover battle, 40-34 in the rebounding battle. And you can see that highlighted in the final score here. Again, Wabash trailed 37-35 at the half, able to pick up a 6-point victory. Let's go ahead and look at some stats, starting with Moran Valley. Jelani McGregor was 8 of 16 shooting, 6 of 12 from behind the arc, good for 23 points. He also had 8 rebounds. Amarian Johnson was 5 of 11 from the field, grabbed 10 rebounds, good for 14 points. And finally, Yusuf Jared was 5 of 8 shooting, grabbed 5 rebounds, finishing with 13 points for Moran Valley. For Wabash Valley, you had Jameel Barber, 6 of 12 shooting, grabbing 3 rebounds, 3 assists, finishing with 20 points. He was also 3 of 11 from behind the arc, or 3 of 7 from behind the arc, 5 of 7 from the foul line. Muja Burton was 4 of 12 shooting, good for 10 points for him. He also grabbed 5 rebounds. Off the bench for Wabash Valley was Tamorian Grigsby, 7 of 13 shooting, grabbing 10 rebounds, having 14 points. And Daniel Robinson, 3 of 5 shooting, good for 8 points as well for the Warriors. Again, being able to pick up a opening victory, especially on your home floor, is huge. And they were able to continue to do that against Community Christian JV with a huge 102-71 victory. Let's go ahead and look at least the collective shooting for Wabash and Coach McGee's team. 41 of 74 shooting. But, oh my goodness, 1 of 12 from behind the arc. Now, they only took 12 shots, but only making one of them, an abysmal 8.3% from behind the arc. 19 of 31 free throw shooting wise, 60 rebounds and 25 turnovers. So they increased their turnovers from game 1 to game 2. And Cole Forlow was 9 of 13 shooting. He did grab 12 rebounds, finishing with 22 points. Clay Butler was close to double digits in the scoring column with 9. He was 2 of 7 shooting and made the Warriors' lone three-pointer. He also grabbed 6 assists with 3 rebounds and 3 steals. Muja Burton, once again, 4 of 8 shooting. He finished with 8 points. Now, the Warriors did get some help off the bench. Daniel Robinson scored 11 points and grabbed 9 rebounds while finishing 4 of 6 shooting. And McLaren Johnson finished 5 of 10 shooting, finishing with 12 points. He also grabbed 3 rebounds. So once again, and Tamornian Grigsby finished 9 of 12 shooting, leading all the way for the Warriors besides Forlo. He finished with 21 points and 12 rebounds. So off the bench, Grigsby, a huge spark for Coach McGee in the first 2 games. Then they play the bugaboo of the district, Mineral Area College, and lose 65-43 here in the Midwest Jamboree. And we actually don't have any stats for Wabash Valley. That is rare. But you can see Mineral Area was 23 of 63 shooting, 11 of 27 from behind the arc, and grabbing 45 rebounds and only turning the ball over 17 times. So Mineral Area, once again, was led by Edwin Dooling Jr., 6 of 11 shooting, grabbing 5 rebounds, 16 points. Preston Turner had a double-double, 11 points, 11 rebounds. He was 4 of 12 shooting as well. And another person with double-digit rebounds is Joseph Scott. He finished with only 6 points. However, Indiari Duncan finished with 5 points and 4 rebounds. Duncan was a member of the district last year. That's why I bring him up. Jordan Logan for the Cardinals were close to double digits with 9 points off of 4 rebounds and 3 of 6 shooting. However, that was really the only player off the bench that was close. Mineral Area led 39-17 after the half, and they each shot poorly, 26 apiece in the second half. So Wabash Valley not able to cut into that huge deficit, as you see 21 points there. So picking up a loss in the first game of the Midwest Junior College Classic. All right, now we enter the Midwest Junior College Classic as they took on Missouri State West Plains. And they beat West Plains 78-72. As we look at the shooting wise, they were more efficient, 27 of 58, good for 46.6% from the field. Again, not great shooting it from behind the arc, 4 of 15, good for 26.7. However, we look at the rebounding and turnovers, and it actually tells a little bit different of a story here. Wabash Valley was out rebounded 39-35 and turned the ball over 16 times compared to Missouri State's 7. So, however, it was the fact that Missouri or West Plains could not hit anything, only shooting 29% from the field, 29.7% from the field, and only 14 from behind the arc. So Wabash Valley lucked out on that one. Once again, I think the rebounding and the turnovers tell a whole story. So if you were just looking at those two, you would think West Plains would have ran away with this, but no. We look at West Plains, and they were led by Kazim Jackson, 3 of 12 shooting, but most of his points came off of the free throw line. He finished with 16 points. Lonel Kumbunzwa had 14 rebounds, and he only had 3 points, but that 14 rebounds, 5 of them being defensive, 9 of them being offensive for West Plains, really stood out to me. Shadarius Glass was 4 of 14 shooting, had 9 points off the bench, and Brylan Harris was 2 of 4 shooting, finishing with 8 points off the bench as well. For Wabash Valley, they were led by Clay Butler, who was 9 of 15 shooting, finishing with 22 points, had 2 rebounds as well. And Jameel Barber was 3 of 7 shooting for 11 points, had 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Gabe Bird was 5 of 6 shooting coming off the bench for 11 points. And Musha Burton off the bench had a good, solid 10-point performance, 8 of 9 from the foul line, and 1 of 2 shooting. So a lot of the majority of his points came off the free throw line. But unfortunately for Coach McGee, you had no other help. Johnson, Ford, and Dent Jr. did not score, did not shoot the ball particularly well. But you still come out with a huge victory in the first time of the JUCO Classic there. And then you take on a State Farm or a State Fair team that the Roadrunners are scary. I have seen a couple of their games, and they are no joke. State Fair was able to win this game 59-43 in a low-scoring affair. Again, Wabash Valley only scoring 17 points in the first half and 26 in the second half. State Fair really able to take care of that with that 9-point cushion in the first, and then extending out a little bit in the second half. And we look at it, and here's why. Wabash Valley was only 1 of 7 shooting from behind the arc. Again, only taking 7 threes, but only netting 1 of them compared to State Fair's 7 of 19 from behind the arc. State Fair shot 22 of 57 for the field. Wabash Valley shot it a little bit better, 18 of 46. Free throw shooting wise, both teams didn't get to the line a whole lot. Wabash Valley 6 of 11, while State Fair was 8 of 10. Rebounding battle. Wabash Valley ekes out a 1 rebound victory here, 35-34. However, the turnovers once again killing the Warriors 16-9 in favor of the Roadrunners. So State Fair was led by Jonathan Branther, who was 5 of 6 shooting from the field. He had 3 rebounds, 2 steals, and 14 points. He was the only Roadrunner in double digits starter-wise, although Daniel Garza was close with 3 of 12 shooting with 6 rebounds. He finished with 8 points. And Chin Hansen was 3 of 11 shooting, had 11 rebounds, 4 of them being offensive. He finished with 7 points. Also, no Roadrunner else besides Banther was in double figures. However, Donta Davis was 3 of 4 shooting for 8 points, and Donovan Matthews was 4 of 8 shooting for 8 points as well. For the Wabash Valley Warriors, they were led by Tamarian Grigsby off the bench with 11 points. Starter-wise, nobody had more than 5, and that was Kevin Anthony, who was 2 of 6 shooting with 5 points. And Musha Burton, however, off the bench 4 of 5 shooting. He had 4 rebounds, finishing with 9. He was close to double digits. But again, a very poor performance shooting night for the Warriors. And you can see very quickly when you look at the box score why they lost this ball game. Just one of those things where 4-2, 4-5-4 as your starting point getters, that's not going to win you a whole lot of games. And Coach McGee obviously knows that, and he's going to have that worked out by the time that they got to play this week. So again, Wabash Valley finishes the first 2 weeks 3-2 overall, with big losses to Mineral Area and State Fair. In both games, they only scored 17 points in the first half. And they only scored 43 points in the game, period. So that's an interesting fact, too. I mean, you don't see that very often. 43 in both of your losses, and you score exactly the same amount of points in both of your losses as well. So, again, Wabash Valley Warriors finishing 3-2 on the year. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the preview of the podcast where we go over Week 3's slate of games. And starting with this week's slate of games, let's go ahead and jump into Wabash Valley, where on Wednesday, November 13th, they take on SEMO Prep, a team that we normally see early on for the district, at least for Wabash Valley, Kankakee or Kaskaskia, Swick, and whatnot. SEMO Prep on Wednesday, the 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then they travel up to Michigan to take on Moran Valley that we just talked about. A little home and home action there for both teams. That is on Saturday, November 16th, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So, Central Time, folks, that is 7 p.m. Central and 3 p.m. Central for Wabash Valley taking on SEMO Prep and Moran Valley. Wednesday's game against SEMO Prep, I really don't see that being too much of a challenge. Coach McGee, especially after losing to State Fair and Mineral Area last week, is going to have this team ready to go against SEMO Prep, and they're going to be able to take care of business. Moran Valley is going to be a little bit more interesting, in my opinion, just because you've already seen them once, and beating a team twice in a season is very difficult. Obviously, we'll get there once we hit district play, but I definitely see Moran Valley being a little bit more of a challenge for Coach McGee's squad. However, I do see them pulling out 2 victories there, both, and then increasing their wins to 5-2 before week 4. Going in reverse order of the breakdowns, next up is the Vincennes University Trailblazers. They got 2 games this week against Henry Ford College on Tuesday, November 12th. So tonight, if you are watching this, the day goes up. And then on Saturday, November 16th, 3 p.m. Eastern, they are taking on Malcolm X College in what they're calling a hurricane relief night, which is really great for Vincennes to be doing something like that, especially with the 2 hurricanes that we had earlier this year in Helene and Milton. So good on Vincennes doing a hurricane relief night. I think that's relatively new. I know we didn't do something like that necessarily, but again, giving back to the communities that are affected by the hurricanes is always a great thing. Now, breaking down these 2 games, Henry Ford College is going to be a difficult game for Vincennes. Again, post-game interview with Coach Franklin that I watched from Dave Hunter is going to be, he said that Henry Ford can get out there with you and be physical. Think more Columbia State than Kennedy King. So that's going to be interesting to see how VU is able to take up that challenge against Henry Ford. Malcolm X College, we've seen them a couple different times in the breakdown. I think that will be a little bit easier of a challenge. Both of them are very difficult, don't get me wrong. But I see more of a chance of winning against Malcolm X than Henry Ford. I do think Vincennes does pull out 2 victories here, but it will be interesting to see. Again, Henry Ford is tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, and VU is doing a VU Salutes Our Veterans, as Veterans Day was just yesterday and today of the day I'm recording this. So Henry Ford College and VU is doing a salute to our veterans, followed by a hurricane relief night in the afternoon game against Malcolm X College. Well, this next team really doesn't make it any easier as they don't front load their schedule, and that is the Swick Blue Storm. They only play 1 game this week against SEMO Prep, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, so again, 3 p.m. Central Time. They take on SEMO Prep. And again, I expect them to pull out a victory here. Yes, they're on a 2-game losing streak, but they took on Moberly area and then West Plains against a JV team. They were able to handle it or able to win handily, and I see the same thing happening with SEMO Prep for Swick. Again, one of those teams that is still going to be I'm going to still be scratching my head about right up until we hit district time, as they don't play in a whole lot of back-to-back games until they need to. But again, they've only played 3 games so far. SEMO Prep's going to be game number 4, and we're sitting 3 weeks into the season. Next team that we're going to be previewing is going to be Shawnee's games. They play Wednesday, November 13th, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time against Tennessee Prep at home. You can catch that game on their YouTube page. And then on Saturday, November 16th against Jefferson College at Jefferson College. Both these games I see, or at least the Tennessee Prep game, I see Shawnee being able to take care of. business. They are on a 2-game win streak. Uh, yeah, they lost to Link Year Prep in the first game of the season, but since then they beat SEMO Prep and Brescia JV. I see them being able to win here. Jefferson College going to be a little bit more difficult, but again, they're only year 2 into their rejuvenance of a JUCO program, so I don't know a ton about them. Uh, I'll give Shawnee the victory and moving them to 4-2 on the season before they got to take on Triton the week after next. So that's going to be a fun game for them. But yeah, this week they got Tennessee Prep and Jefferson College. Tennessee Prep on November 13th, Jefferson College on November 16th. Up next is the Olney Central, where they will play tonight. Again, if you're watching this, the day it comes out tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, against Indiana Elite Prep. And then Saturday, November 16th, they will take on Wilbur Wright College, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, and that is at Wilbur Wright College because later on they do a home and home at the 1st of December. So Indiana Elite Prep, again, I see Coach Lidvina evening up his record at 3-3 against Indiana Elite Prep. Wilbur Wright, again, I saw them a little bit at the Jamboree, but now that we're 3 weeks in, it's really difficult to tell how they're going to be able to play. I do think Coach Lidvina is going to be able to pick up a couple more wins here. His schedule gets a little bit easier before it gets harder again. Again, Indiana Elite Prep, Tuesday, November 12th, tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, and Saturday, November 16th, 3 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern at Wilbur Wright College. Another team that we don't have a lot of game tape on just quite yet is Lincoln Trail, and they only have one game this week as they look to remain perfect, going up against Three Rivers Community College, 8 p.m. Eastern tonight, again 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. tonight. Three Rivers, I don't see the Statesmen picking up their 4th win on the year, unfortunately. Nothing against them, but Three Rivers is historically a very good ball club. I think it does help them a little bit that they travel to Robinson to play. But again, just knowing historically how good Three Rivers is, always a tough opponent. It's a good barometer test for them as they get ready to enter a tough stretch here. But with their lone game being this week against Three Rivers, I just don't see them picking up the win. With that being said, will I be happy if they do? Absolutely. I want to see all these teams win, at least until we hit December and we're playing in district games. But until then, I want every district team to win every single game. I just don't think it's going to happen against Three Rivers. Up next is the Lakeland Lakers, and we got a little bit more film on them this year. They're 4-0. They're riding high, especially after a good Laker Classic this last weekend. They have one game this week. They take on Glen Oaks Community College, Saturday, November 16th, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern Time in Mattoon. So I see, once again, I see Lakeland picking up another good win. Again, they're riding high. They are playing good basketball early in November. Yes, we know we don't hang banners after 2 weeks, but Lakeland is proven to be a difficult opponent this year. They normally are, but they're normally around 500 going into district play. Them being 400 or 4-0 early really speaks a lot to what Coach Larry has been able to do. And I do see them pulling out a good win against Glen Oaks here and moving to 5-0 before they got to take on Lincoln Land next week. Up next is the Kaskaskia Blue Devils, and boy, do they have a week on their hands. They open up tomorrow, Wednesday, November 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, against Greenville JV. Then on Friday, November 15th, they take on Simmons College again, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And finally, they wrap up their weekend against Oakland City University JV, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central. I do see 3 wins here for Kaskaskia, Greenville JV, and Oakland City JV. Should be kind of like the Missouri Baptist win. Simmons, they'll probably put up a bigger challenge for Kaskaskia, but overall, I do see Kaskaskia picking up 3 wins here. Going to be one of those weeks where if you're in Centralia and able to get out there, please do, because the Blue Devils are here all week. Again, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesday, Greenville JV. Friday, Simmons College. And Saturday, Oakland City University JV. So big week in Centralia for the Blue Devils. Finally, the last team to preview is John A. Logan College, 2-1 overall going into this weekend, and they are in Triton taking on Sauk Valley Community College on November 15th, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central Time. Sauk Valley, again, is going to be one of those ones that challenge Logan. Again, Coach Smith-Peters always taking on a difficult opponent going into district play. Sauk Valley is definitely that. And then they turn around and play the host, Triton College, number 4 Triton, if I'm not mistaken, by NJCAA rankings. If the rankings have not changed when this goes out, Triton is going to be a very difficult game for the Volunteers. Both these games are actually going to be very hard for Logan to win. I see them splitting the weekend. I think they'll win against Sauk Valley and fall to Triton by 5. But once again, Sauk Valley is not going to be an easy win for Triton or for Logan by any means necessary. But Coach Smith-Peter knows that, and that's why he schedules these types of games before you head into district play. Once again, Sauk Valley, November 15th, 5 p.m. Central Time, and Triton, November 16th, 3 p.m. Central Time, for volunteer fans to catch them this week. They are away from Carterville, but they will be streaming. So good luck, Coach Smith-Peters and Logan. That's going to do it for this week, everybody. I hope you enjoyed weeks 1 and 2 recap and the preview of week 3 as we get started in week 3 here tonight. A lot of games going on this week. And again, for non-district games, it is a little bit difficult to get a set schedule. Hopefully, I'm able to keep one every Tuesday or Wednesday. That is my plan. Going forward, I don't know if it is plausible, at least until we hit district play. Once we hit district play and we have kind of a set schedule, it's going to be a lot easier for me to get these episodes out on a consistent basis. But I appreciate you guys sitting there with me. Hopefully on YouTube, you've enjoyed the little bit difference that I've made visual-wise and shown you where I get my stats from. Spotify listeners, I know it is a little frustrating just having to take my word for it audio wise, but I appreciate everybody out there that listens to me on Spotify, watches me on YouTube, and I will see you all next week in the next episode. Peace.